Hello there and welcome. This is as always Mikhail or Michael speaking. And before the video starts, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through Patreon, PayPal or Super Thanks. I really appreciate your generosity, so thank you friends and have a blessed day. Now in today's video I will discuss territorial changes that occurred within the last 24 hours by using multiple maps to better understand the situation. And first things first, let's discuss new Russian territorial gains, as a result of which village of Tykhe was fully captured by the Russians and village of Zybyne was abandoned and left for the Russians to capture. And those were the territories that Russians were able to capture within the last 24 hours. So, as you can see, not only Tykhe was fully captured by the Russians, but this entire territory in front of Marina, which allowed Russians to force Ukrainians to leave from the village of Zybyne. First, let's discuss situation in Tykhe, where for some time Russians held a bridgehead within the northern portion of the village, and despite continuous Ukrainian counterattacks, were able to hold on to it for some time. After Ukrainian counterattacks subdued, Russian forces launched attack of their own in combination with Russian forces attacking on the northern flank of this front line and fully captured the village of Tykhe and its outskirts, reaching the Volcha River. This will potentially allow Russians to cross the river in this place, as it's very thin and shallow, and attack in the direction of a much bigger settlement of Vovchansky Hutory. Now, the situation within the Zybyne village is much more interesting. One of the reasons why Ukrainians decided to retreat from the village, leaving it to the Russians, was the fact that as a result of successful Russian attacks in this area, Russian forces were able to acquire strategical heights that overlook this village. That fact itself sealed the fate of the village, and Ukrainians retreated without a fight towards the village of Pokolyane as well as Vovchansky Hutory. This topographical map will give you a better understanding. Here is the village of Zybyne, and this is the massive hill area which Russian forces acquired. The control over those dominating hills will not only allow Russians to capture Zybyne with ease, but will also give Russians an edge in defending it, as they could always retreat, let Ukrainians in, close the trap, and destroy the advancing force. After that, they can move in again and repeat this as much as they want. The fall of this village would also mean that Russians would gain control over this road, which leads towards Valakhivka and Korochany in the east, Pokolyane in the south, and Volchansky Hutory in the west. When talking about Vovchansk, at the time of recording there are no territorial changes, but the storming of the city streets and houses continues. The city itself looks something like this, as you can see on the video, and as you can see it continues to burn and burn significantly. Despite all Ukrainian claims of successful counterattacks, Russian forces continue to advance nevertheless, and the capture of the city in its entirety seems to be inevitable. Not going far away, let's quickly discuss the situation in Staritsa, which, as you can see, being mapped out as a Russian gain yet again. The situation within this village was somewhat confusing, but recent proof and geolocations showed that this village is in firm Russian hands. From here, let's move all the way to the Kupiansk frontline and discuss recent Russian advances in the direction of Berestove. As a result of successful storming operations which were conducted within the last 24 to 48 hours, Russian forces were able to enter this village and establish a bridgehead in its northern outskirts, and those were the territories that Russians captured within the last 24 hours. So officially, the battle for Berestove have started, and at the time of recording, its outcome is not clear. What is clear is that with the fall of Berestove, Ukrainian formations located here in this area will find themselves in a semi-encirclement. For a long time, those forces were engaged in the battle for Novoselivske as well as Berestove. But again, if Berestove to be captured, Ukrainian flank and rear would be greatly exposed to the Russian attacks. This will surely force Ukrainians to retreat, which would also mean that Russians will gain full control over Novoselivske and Berestove in short succession. From here, let's continue to go to the south and discuss the situation on the Seversk frontline, where as a result of successful storming operation in attempt to reach the center of Belogorovka village, Russian forces were able to advance rather significantly. Here is exactly how much territories that was. Whether this Russians officially entered the village or what remains of it, because of very heavy clashes that occurred here for the last year, and as I speak, continue to hold to it From here, let's continue further to the south-southwest and discuss the situation on the Avdiivka front line. Here to the northwest of Ocheretine, as a result of successful offensive operations, Russian forces were able to advance and capture this rather small portion of the territory from the Ukrainian side. If we zoom in, this is nothing serious, few force lines and 2 fields, but it seems that Russians are advancing in the direction of a stronghold that is located here, and its control will surely allow Russians to take control over this area with all the open fields and advance towards Kalinove. Not moving away from Avdiivka frontline, let's discuss new Russian territorial gains to the south of Umansk. Here, Russians launched series of attacks in the direction of the Ukrainian stronghold and trenchwork system that is located here in this area, and those attacks quickly brought results. Here, Russian forces were able to successfully advance, capture fortifications, and as a result, secure those open fields. With those territories now in Russian hands, village of Yasnobrodivka is now in reach of Russian attacks. Perhaps as you are watching the video, this village could be already stormed by the Russians. To better understand the situation, I will quickly use Weeb Union's map, as he did a great job detailing fortifications. Those were the trenches Russians captured as a result of the attack previously discussed, with the small building area used as a stronghold. As you can see, Ukrainians still have some fortifications in front of Yasnobrodivka and within it, but I'm sure regardless of that, Russians will attack, and sooner or later, capture Yasnobrodivka as well. From here, let's move to Zaporozhye and discuss a surprise restart of Russian offensive operations in the direction of Gulyai-Pole. The city of Gulyai-Pole is crucial for Ukrainian defense efforts in this area, which made it a valid target for Russian attacks. Plus, for a long time, Russian forces were inactive in this area, which made Ukrainians less cautious and ill-prepared. So, as a result of restarted offensive efforts in the direction of Gulyai-Pole, those were the territories that came in under Russian control. As you can see, those are not big territories by any means necessary, but if we are to zoom in, we can see that in fact this is some small locality of Morfipil village. This means that this village in its entirety has now fallen to the Russians. The control of this dacha area will allow Russians to advance first in the direction of this force line and then towards Gulyai-Pole proper. So perhaps the battle for this big city will start within just few days. With this I end today's video, and as you can see, this video came out much earlier than usual. Usually I wait a specific time when I upload my videos, usually 6 to 7 AM my local time, which makes the information that I am posting slightly outdated. So today I decided to post this information as soon as it came out, so please do go to the comment section and tell me whether you find this more comfortable than what I usually do. In any way, this is the end of the video. Hopefully it was to your liking and was informative enough. If it was, please consider supporting it by a like, comment, and of course, if you haven't subscribed, a subscription. Thank you for your considerations and support. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free and great.